Today, we're jumping into a pretty wild idea taking shape in the Middle East, a new vision where peace isn't just hoped for, but actively engineered. We're going to look at how massive economic ambition, combined with some seriously cutting-edge AI, is creating a whole new blueprint for how nations can get along.
So let's just start with this huge question. What if we could actually code a path to peace? I mean, imagine that for a second. What if some of the world's most tangled conflicts could be solved not just by diplomats, but by algorithms? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, I know, but it's being built on a real-world foundation that is already changing things.
Okay, so before we can even get into the whole coding piece thing, we need to understand a massive shift that's happening on the ground. There's a whole new story, a new narrative being written in the Middle East, and it's all about moving beyond the conflicts of the past.
And look, this isn't just wishful thinking or a nice idea. This new narrative is real, and its core concept is actually pretty simple but totally revolutionary. What if building stuff together and making money together is a way better motivator than fighting old battles? We are literally seeing a strategic pivot away from a politics defined by conflict to one driven by global economic ambition.
So how is this all happening? Well, it's not magic. This new reality isn't just appearing out of thin air. It's being built brick by brick on three really powerful pillars that all work together to create a super solid foundation.
And here they are: profit, principles, and pacts. Sounds simple, right? But each one of these is absolutely crucial, and when you put them together, they create the launch pad for everything else we're about to talk about. So let's break them down. All right, first up, profit. You've heard the saying, follow the money, right? Well, it has never been more true than it is here. This is the engine driving this whole new narrative. We're talking about huge sovereign wealth funds from places like Saudi Arabia and the UAE pouring billions, literally billions of dollars into major global companies and assets. And this is the genius of it, really. It completely flips the script. When your country owns a huge stake in global media, technology, and finance, any instability back home becomes a direct threat to your wallet. All of a sudden, the whole cost-benefit analysis changes, and peace becomes the smart and very profitable choice. Okay, so money is a huge motivator. We get that. But it's not going to create lasting peace all on its own. You also need a shift in ideology, a change of heart. And that brings us to our second pillar: creating a path for peace through shared principles. This is the cultural foundation, and it's just as important. So, we're seeing this growing movement that promotes moderation and actively pushes back against extremist ideologies. It's a call for reform coming from within the region, a recognition that for peace to really stick, it has to be built on shared values of tolerance and coexistence, not just on shared bank accounts.
All right, so you've got the economic engine, and you've got the ideological shift. The third pillar, pacts, is what provides the official structure. It's the diplomatic handshake that brings all these pieces together and makes them official.
And that pact is the Abraham Accords. This is the critical document, the diplomatic glue holding it all together. It made normal relations between Israel, the UAE, and Bahrain official, and it cemented this core idea that economic cooperation can build bridges over decades of political hostility. It's the framework that officially connects the profit with the principles. Okay, so we've got our foundation laid: profit, principles, and pacts. Pretty solid, right? Now let's circle all the way back to that wild question from the beginning. How does technology, and specifically AI, fit into this picture? This is where things get really optimistic and honestly pretty exciting. I want to introduce you to a concept called generative intentional intelligence, or GII. Now, hold on. This is not the kind of AI you're probably used to hearing about. The two key words here are generative and intentional. This thing isn't just designed to analyze the world as it is, it's designed to generate creative, brand new solutions for how the world could be, all while being deliberately programmed to follow a very specific set of values. So, what would its mission be? Well, you would essentially hardwire it with the core values of the Abraham Accords. Its prime directive, if you will, would be to generate options that maximize cooperation, that boost economic ties, and that foster mutual understanding. This is the optimistic vision, right? An AI with a built-in do-no-harm guarantee, one that's constantly searching for those win-win scenarios that secure both peace and profit. It's an incredible vision. I mean, a unified narrative for peace, perfectly optimized by a benevolent AI. Wow. But we have to pull back from the future for a second and ground ourselves in the here and now.
What's the reality of AI's role today, and what are its limits? So this is the really crucial distinction. The long-term vision is an AI that could be an objective guarantor of peace, like a perfect, unbiased referee. But the reality for right now is that AI is a powerful enhancement for peace. Think of it as an incredibly smart co-pilot for human diplomats, not the pilot itself.
So what does that co-pilot actually do? Well, here are some real-world examples. AI is already being used to analyze huge amounts of text and dialogue to find hidden areas of common ground. It can generate a whole range of policy options for human negotiators to consider. It can identify the absolute best joint investment opportunities to lock in those economic ties. It's augmenting what humans do, making them faster and smarter. And all of this brings us to the most important part of the entire equation, the one piece of the puzzle that you just can't code, the one thing you can't automate.
Because even the most advanced GI you could ever imagine would run headfirst into some very human walls. First, there's the problem of human intent. You can't program an algorithm to control political will. It can't make a leader be courageous. Second, there's the objectivity challenge. Whose definition of peace or fairness do you use? That's not a technical question. It's a deeply ethical one. And finally, you have the trust issue. Would we ever really be willing to hand over a massive, world-altering decision to a machine we don't fully understand?
And so, here's the bottom line. This technology is a revolutionary tool, a true force multiplier. That optimistic vision of an AI intentionally built to do no harm and find a path to peace is incredibly powerful. But it doesn't let us off the hook. The final decision, the ethical commitment, the political will to actually choose peace, that still rests entirely on human shoulders.
So that leaves us with this huge question to think about, doesn't it? As these technologies get more and more powerful, is our future going to be written purely by human will with all of its brilliance and all of its flaws? Or will it be a collaboration co-authored by us and the very algorithms we designed to help us achieve our highest ideals? The path is being built as we speak,